of the Officials Podcast. Our guest this time is Luke Bowles. Luke, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, thank you. Harley, how are you?
Yeah, fantastic. I'm really good. Just before we start, I've got two disclaimers. Firstly, to every single referee that messaged me about my headset, there's nothing can be done about it. My laptop doesn't pick up sound very well, and this is all I've got, so I apologise for that. Second disclaimer, obviously, we have the photos that do come up. For anyone who knows Luke, there's no photos of him refereeing at all apart from one, which from about 100 yards away. So a lot of his photos are of him playing or coaching, but he is a ref. You can trust me on that. So Luke, I'll introduce you, mate. So you're a level 5 Birmingham County FA referee. You also work at Birmingham County FA, and you also coach with the Football Development Centre and Midlands Down Syndrome FC. So Luke, mate, just to start off then, obviously you've played, you've refed, you've coached. What actually got you into refereeing?
More of an injury, really. Never dreamt of going into officiating whatsoever. A lot of officials that me and you probably officiate with would probably say nightmare to deal with as a player. Mainly very vocal. Sort of quietened down as I got older, but especially in my sort of younger years. But yeah, I had an injury in 2017, which then I struggled to play football with carrying that injury, but I could still run. So I spoke to the RDO at the county FA and said, in order to keep fit and saving the game, is there any chance of getting me on a course? So I did a course in August 2017, I think it was off the top of my head, at Stratford Town. Met some really good people on that course that are still officiating today, especially on the MFL. Matt Joyce was on there, who's part of Core now. So real good group on there. And then started on the Bromsgrove League on a Sunday, essentially just to keep my fitness up, keep involved in the game while I was sort of recovering from that injury, as it was misdiagnosed to start off with. And then luckily got it sorted in the December following on from passing my referee course.
Oh, fantastic. I know obviously you played, obviously you know it's on the screen now, but you played and you had quite a good career as a player. How did you find the transition from, I don't want to say from having a go at the refs, but from being a player and obviously wanting to win the game to being a ref and trying to control the game? How did you find that transition?
I think as you see, as you transition to MFL football, you realise you need to work with the officials rather than work against them. So it's always a difficult one to step over that line and change that way of thinking from, like you say, trying to win a game at all costs to then trying to manage that game. First of all, I think I was probably a little bit too friendly with the players, if I'm honest. Obviously, trying to be mates with them, you sort of toe a fine line with that then, because if you show a little bit too much, how can I say, too much openness and that you're pally, like essentially you can lose match control. So that actually changed pretty quickly. But it's more around, I think what helps me is I have that understanding of what a player's perception is like when I'm dealing with a situation. So I ask myself, how would I want to be spoken to? How would I want to be treated? How would I want it explained? And I try and deal with it from that sort of reverse mentality, really.
Trying to sort of see yourself as the player kind of situation, but you're not the ref.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
I've seen some of these photos on here. Long time ago, some of these photos.
There's a few. But now, how obviously you've probably played with, obviously you ref in the Midland Football League. You've probably played with an awful lot of players at that level. How do you find having played with someone and then now, 2 or 3 seasons later, now you're officiating? How's that been for you?
I thought it'd be worse than it actually was. I think having played against players, and I wouldn't say, I'm going to be honest, I wouldn't say I was a decent player, but I've played for decent sides, which helps. So I think when you go onto that pitch, actually they respect you for you as an individual, not just the fact that you're a referee, but yeah, played against you, in that referee position. I don't know why, but automatically I have been respected. No one's really sort of questioned that authority. There's been a few jokes, but not as if anyone's gone over that line as such, which has helped.
They know you as a person, not a ref. Like I'm sure when I've ref players that I don't know, obviously I turn up as he wears black, he referees, that's it. Whereas you, it's like, yes, he turns up, yes, he wears black, yes, he referees. But 3 years ago, we were winning a trophy with him, or 3 years ago, he was in the change room with us. So you've got that knowledge of them already.
Yeah, and there's been a few games this season where that's happened. And don't get me wrong, I prefer going to grounds where I haven't played with the player or I haven't played against the player, because it just gives you that little bit of a neutral standpoint. one thing I tried to do, if I do know players on a certain side, I tried to know to make sure that I memorise the opposition team sheet, so I do know names, so it doesn't look as if you're just talking to the same players, or how come you know 5 or 6 of them on a first name basis. So I tried to even it out a little bit, really, just so it doesn't get picked up on and you don't get judged as, oh, he's played with so and so, he's been there. Obviously, I try not to officiate former clubs. That for me is key. If I've spent 1 season at a club, then that's fine. I'm happy to go there as long as it's obviously not my club that I played for example, the season before. So yeah, I haven't officiated the last Sunday League team that I played for, and neither the Saturday team that I spent 4 or 5 years at. I think that's crucial. Just to remain credible, really. I don't think that would be fair or right to do, really.
No, I do understand. And how are you finding it as a ref? Obviously, I'm Worcestershire. I know we had Mikey on last week, and he was a great guest. He's Worcestershire as well. How is it as a Birmingham ref? How do you find that?
Do you know, it's been really good for me. Although I work at the county, try not to use that to my advantage. So fortunately, I've been given county cup appointments in the under 18s, midweek Floodlit Cup, which has been really handy. Obviously, we've had no county cups this year, but that was in the 2019-20 season. I actually got given a cup final, which obviously got postponed because of COVID, which was disappointing. But in terms of the support, lucky to be on the development group, which has been really helpful for me. Having a match day coach and people to bounce ideas off, and a group whereby if I've had a situation occur where, not that I felt uncomfortable or I feel like I've made a wrong decision, or I wasn't sure what decision I should be giving, or it's something that I haven't encountered before, I've got a group to sort of bounce ideas off. And the good thing about being on the border is, obviously, I'm from Birmingham FA, but like you say, you're from Worcestershire FA. It's interesting to hear people's different perceptions and what they're being told, and actually sharing ideas. You'll know, because you're part of that. We've probably got a mini group of 4 or 5 of us that if something happens, you can pick up the phone, you can speak to that person, you can find out what's going on and what they would have done in that situation, which is really helpful. But yeah, to summarise, the county FA have been really supportive, and it's good because it gives you a different experience from that coaching and playing. And you do get to see different people's perceptions. I knew that photo was going to come up from somewhere. But yeah, so essentially, to summarise, Birmingham County FA have been brilliant for me.
No, fab. For those who haven't noticed or listening, Luke mentioned the photo from Stilian Petrov from, I'm going to guess, 2007. Potentially.
Mate, I don't know. I was probably still in secondary school then, looking at the that haircut.
But no, I did want to briefly talk about your coaching work now. So I know you work for the Football Development Centre, which is really good. But I wanted to talk about your work for Midlands Down Syndrome FC. For those who don't know, obviously Midlands Down Syndrome FC, how would you describe it? How do you find it? What is it like? Obviously, I'm not a ref anymore. I'm a football coach now. How's that for you?
To be fair, I think I'm a football man, so like different areas of the game, like coaching, like refereeing, like playing, like running the club. For me, it's just I love football. But in terms of how Midlands Down Syndrome came about, I was actually in a joint workforce and disability role at Birmingham FA, and DS Active, who are the national charity for keeping people with Down syndrome active, were running their national finals at Portway Lifestyle Centre, which is situated in Albury. So we ensured that we had some county FA presence on the day, and it's interesting to see that actually there was players from the Midlands, so players that were attending mixed disability sessions at the Albion Foundation, Coventry, and other pan-disability clubs. But there wasn't a single Down syndrome team from the Midlands. So I got my head together. I thought, I think we should try and provide some opportunities. So we started about 3.5 years ago, based it in Redditch. Because I had contacts there. I knew that there's some players there that wanted to play that had Down syndrome that were already going to other sessions. So we set up there. We started our first ever session with three people. We've now grown that now, and we're in double figures in terms of participants, which is good. We only train once a month, and the reason for that is a lot of our participants do loads of other different activities. So we've got tennis, drama, dance, other football clubs that they attend. So we train once a month with the idea of playing 6-a-side against other teams with Down syndrome. So that the next challenge for us as a coaching committee. So there's myself, there's Aid, and there's also Jazz, who works at the County FA. Our next goal is really to try and set up an FA affiliated league, whether that be Midlands based or national, to try and get these players playing against each other on a regular basis. So that's a challenge. But yeah, if anyone's listening that knows someone that has Down syndrome that wants to play football in a Down syndrome environment, then they're more than welcome to get involved.
No, it is. It's really, I think inclusive is a good word. It's open and it is really good. And I know, obviously, this is a refereeing podcast, but I did want to speak about it because it is amazing. It's really, really good to sort of have that connection with a different type of football. Because I know, obviously, a lot of people say men's football, women's football, and youth football, but we've also got disability football as well. And it is really good that you've got that really strong and really good connection with it. Jumping a little bit back to the refereeing, I asked Mikey the same question last week. What next for Luke Bowles? What next for Mr. Bowles? Where were you going with the refereeing, or where do you want to go?
So it's interesting because a lot of people that I speak to say, "Oh, I want to get as high as I can. I want to reach." For me, it's just about learning. If I get promoted year on year, great. Get to see new grounds, get to ref new players, get to get out of sort of, I'm going to say, get out of sort of step 7 where I've been at playing and refereeing now for probably the last 6-7 years. For me, it's about learning. Yes, if I can get as high as I can, great, new experiences. But if I'm honest, supporting others is key as well. So it is having a network of 4, 5, 6 referees that if I'm going to get promoted, I want to get promoted with. So similar to yourself on that 5 to 4 pathway. And there's others that I can name that are on that 5 to 4 pathway. Actually sort of growing together, I think is key. Obviously, people will get promoted at different stages. I'm going to be honest, you don't know where life takes you. It might be that you get promoted to 4, work and family take over. And actually, I'm quite happy at just refereeing at level 5 and doing local football. But for me, it's just staying involved, keeping active and sharing experiences.
No, I know what I mean. And those shared experiences and those sort of friendship groups, I'll call them, that you do make whilst refereeing are really, really big, are really important. I can't speak for every referee, but I think a massive thing that I've benefited from as a referee is I've got this whole new group of, I would say friends, a whole new group of friends that you wouldn't know if you weren't a referee. And it's having that support network, having that environment. Obviously, I know myself and you, I know we do lots of games together. I know we have other people involved, and it is really nice to have that environment and that sort of friendship group, you know what I mean? Which is really, really good.
Yeah, definitely.
No, we can. So what we'll do is we'll fly on to our quick fire questions. Last week, Mikey made them as far away from quick fire as possible. So feel free, if you want to elaborate, feel free to do so. I've got 5 questions, 1-word answers, or if you want to do a little description, that's completely fine, mate. So first question then, obviously, as a referee, what has been your favourite game so far?
I think this is quite an easy one. So when I started out in 2017, I was still actually playing Saturdays. Obviously, was injured for that one season, and only had one appearance that year for a club. But then the following season, I played Saturdays again, so I was only doing Sundays. But my first season, when I thought to myself, "Joe, I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to take it a little bit more seriously now and start officiating on Saturday." Before I'd even done a game in the MFL, which is a Saturday league I signed up to, I got an FA Cup appointment. So it's like literally going from Sunday league straight into the FA Cup.
That's brilliant.
And I was I was junior assistant, so on the far side away from the technical areas for a game v Rugby Town v Sporting Calcer. So it was at Calcer, so it's Sporting Calcer v Rugby Town. And there's actually a last minute winner in that game at my end. So yeah, that was probably the best game that I've been involved in, mainly just because of what it meant to both teams and the magnitude of the occasion. And it's my first FA Cup game being involved as a player or official. So for me, that one was a special one.
No, it's massive that to get it early on, but no, that's a fantastic appointment. Sticking with appointments, obviously, if I was the appointments officer for every league, every competition in the world, and I was going to put you on a game, what would be your dream appointment? What's the ultimate game for you?
See, I had to think about this last week when Mikey said, obviously, World Cup final. I think World Cup final is the obvious one. Champions League finals, obviously, another obvious one. I think one, just because it'd be quite difficult, the atmosphere would be daunting. I'd love a Boca River Plate. I just think Boca Juniors v River Plate would be something else to do. Like, obviously, how it had to get moved last year as part of the Copa Libertadores final to the new camp, just because of how fierce the rivalry was. I think that would be a tough one to do, if I'm honest.
It's got nothing on there's no other derby in the world that's got anything on it in that sense of fierceness of rivalry. And it's a really good answer because it's not something I would have considered. But now you've said it, it's a brilliant answer. it's a question last week I asked, and a question I asked yourself. Not a worst moment, but what's been your most challenging moment as a referee so far?
I've been thinking about this one as well, thinking about Mikey's answers. I'm going to do what he did. I've got two really that I want to speak about. So first one, I was on a game, a Sunday League game, first Premier Division game, sort of 2 or 3 months after passing my referee course. Inexperience massively showed this game, obviously from a officiating perspective. So I'll just refer to the clubs as Club A and Club B because I don't really like referring to clubs too much when talking publicly. But Club A had a free kick around the edge of the 18-yard box in an attacking sense. They've taken a quick free kick, and basically one of the players from Club B has fouled Club A in the box. I've probably recognised that it's a foul, but bottled it a little bit. Player then from Club A has put their hand on the ball, and I've given a direct free kick for Club B. Inexperience, massive inexperience from me. First of all, I should have managed a free kick around the edge of the box and slowed it down so that sort of situation didn't happen. I didn't want to then double punish the home team. And on reflection, it should have been a penalty, but I've given a free kick, handball, and I've also cautioned that player. So what for me, that worst moment is I've made 3 poor decisions and then booked a player, which obviously impacts them, £10 fine and whatnot. So that was a bad one for me. Luckily, I spoke to secretary at the end of the game. I'm honest. If I make a mistake, I'll literally take accountability, responsibility, and pick it up from there. I said to them, like, look, made a mistake there. Player shouldn't have been booked, really. That's my mistake, not theirs. Like, I'm happy to sort of pay the £10 if I'm honest for you. And it was quite interesting. Secretary turned around and said, we all make mistakes. We're well backed as a club. We'll pay it. It's not a problem. Like,
that's nice, though.
You've got to make those mistakes to learn. So it's actually quite nice that they've turned around and said that rather than being quite funny around it.
Yeah, they've done that for me because I was going to say it's a good learning curve. But go on, what was the second of the two?
So the second, it's actually an MFL reserve game. Balls come into the box, been a blatant push, and a little bit of inexperience again. This is probably my first season on Saturday, so I think I must have been going from 7 to 6 or 6 to 5 at the time. But essentially, the ball's been whipped into the box. Player's been blatantly fouled, pushing the back. I've blown for the penalty, but as I have, it's dropped just past the back post and the player's volleyed home. Whistle's already gone. He's gone for a penalty. Realistically, what I should have done is maybe counted 1, 2, 3 in my head. As soon as that, not advantage because it's not really an advantage, but as soon as that phase of play sort of died down and that goal scoring opportunity is gone, he's brought it back for that penalty. Obviously not waiting 5-10 seconds, but within the sort of like 2-3 second period. I didn't do that. Luckily, the penalty was converted, so it was really forgot about. But in my head, that was a massive mistake. And for me, that's a worst moment because if he had missed that, or it had gone over, or it had been game defining, then it would have been based on my mistake. So that one I got away with a little bit. But for me, my worst moments are when I know I've made a mistake. It's not if I've lost control or anything like that. It's if I've made a poor decision. But it's all about that learning, and it's about what I do next time. That hasn't happened to me again. It won't happen to me again. But they're probably my 2 worst moments.
No, I'm delighted to announce that I've done the second one, and I've done it more than once. But it's like you say, I know lots of referees and lots of non-referees that watch our podcast, and I'm hoping this podcast gets a similar response. But obviously, it's impossible to not make a mistake, and obviously, being a referee sometimes gets highlighted. But you've got to make those mistakes to learn and work on them or learn and improve on them next time. And obviously, you've mentioned 2 things that yes, you've made a mistake, and yes, it felt really bad at the time, but you've been able to learn from that.
I think a key bit of advice there to referees that are potentially coming through: when you make a mistake, it's not a bad thing to hold your hands up and actually admit the mistake, because I see it from a player's perspective. Referees will make mistakes, especially at our level. If they're getting them wrong in the Premier League, then they're going to get them wrong in the MFL, Bromsgrove League, any Sunday League, any sort of Saturday League at step 5, 6, 7. So essentially, if you make a mistake and you know you've made a mistake, hold your hands up, speak to the captain, get that communicated. And that will stand you in better stead than, I'm going to be honest, being cocky, arrogant, and sticking in your head with a decision that you know is fundamentally wrong. Obviously, there's times where you might have to do that, but on the whole part, it's better to do that because you'll get more respect from the player, and they'll actually keep you off your back for the rest of the game. They'll turn around and go, "Oh, look, lads, he's made a mistake. Let's get on with it." Simple. But I know not every official's like that, but that's me, and that's how I deal with things.
No, I like it. No, I do like it, and it is good to, obviously, not every time, but there's certain moments when you've got to accept that yes, I made a mistake. Yes, I put my hands up, because you're right, you do get that different kind of respect. It's like, do you know what? At least he's honest with us. At least he's truthful. At least we can trust him. And then next time when you get a decision right, they'll be like, well, we admit the last one was wrong. This time, I trust him. I believe him. And it is a big part of refereeing is getting that trust, being able to get players to get behind you as such. But no, well, obviously we've had the two worst moments, and we probably had our one piece of advice in there as well. But what I'm quite intrigued to know is what's your best moment as a referee or as a match official?
Best moment. It's like you say, it's when you see the appointments come through, isn't it? When you've got them. When you see an appointment come through and you think, yeah, that's a great game. So if you get given a cup final, or like Mike said last week, where he got first and second in the league, they're the games that you want to be involved in. They're the games that actually are going to probably test your resolve a little bit more than certainly some of the other games might be. But it's nice to see when you get the promotions, but best moment, referee, it's a tough one, really. Do you know what? I think some of your best moments are when you come off. Players are really grateful. Secretaries and managers are really grateful. And when you get told some of the best officials we've had all year, I don't know whether they just say that all the time, but it is nice to hear, and it is reassuring. Obviously, it's not something that you get every week. It's not something that people say just to obviously butter you up, but it is nice that when people are thankful. Do you know what I mean? And it is like, just when you go out your way a little bit, like Sunday League, where I've had no lines on the pitch, but I've said, look, if you can help me get the lines, get a little bit of flour down on the 18-yard box, this is like extreme circumstances, then we'll get the game on, and they're thankful for that. So yeah, I don't know really. I wouldn't say I've got a sort of best moment. I'll just say that there's a series of
it's a collection of not being thanked, but a collection of being, I don't know what the word would be.
It's a collection of things that make that whole experience a little bit better. Do you know what I mean?
I do. I do completely.
Where you come away from a game and think, I've really enjoyed that today, rather than the one where you think, wow, that was tough, that was.
Yeah.
Those sort of moments, really, for me, are the best moments.
No, I do fully understand. I was going to ask you, what one piece of advice would you give? But I feel like you've already sort of given it, haven't you? With these sort of, for yourself, it's being honest, it's admitting when you're wrong, that sort of thing. Would that say if I was a new Birmingham County FA, I want to do my referees course when I can, what would that be the best bit of advice you'd give me?
Yeah, I'd say two pieces of advice are, if you're a player, I'd recommend doing the course.
Yeah.
You only have to, realistically, every year you just have to re-register. So if you don't do any games, you can still re-register every year, so you can do games when you're in a position to do so. One, that gives you a better understanding of actually what referees have to go through and what rules, as they say, what laws you're actually applying. And then secondly, do it at an early age. For me, a little bit naive. Obviously, I've gone down the coaching route and I really enjoy my coaching. So I'm a B licensed coach. I've done that, really enjoy that. But I wish I'd picked up the whistle earlier. So I wish I'd done my referee course when I was sort of 16, 17, 18. Even if I didn't use it while I was playing, it's there as a tool to potentially engage with it as soon as I needed to, which I think would have helped me. So my advice to anyone is, if you're looking for a career in football, take the opportunities that are probably going to make you a little bit more credible. So try and experience different sides of the game. So whether that be refereeing, coaching, running a club, playing. If you do all the different, how can I say, elements of the game, it just stands you in a better position.
Yeah.
In terms of a credibility perspective, when you're actually dealing with certain situations, and that's what I'd probably say is my biggest piece of advice.
No, and I know obviously you mentioned we're doing it. Wish you'd done it earlier. I passed my course just after I turned 18, and even I wish I'd done it 2-3 years earlier when I was 14, 15, 16. It is one of them. No matter when you do it, you wish you'd done it earlier. But that does go to show that the people you meet, the experiences you have. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's great to win a cup final, but it's also great to be appointed to one, and you still get those experiences, but it's a different kind of experience. But no, I do completely agree. Well, look, Luke, massive thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone as well for listening. Our last podcast, I think, across all our platforms, we've hit just over 1,000 views / listens now, which is about 1,000 more. No, 999 more than I anticipated. So no, I'm really thankful for that. And I've had lots of really nice messages. And the same with this one, Luke's. Really thankful that you've come on, Luke, and I really hope people do enjoy listening to it. But yeah, thank you very much anyway, Luke.
Thanks for having me, mate. Yeah, thanks for having me, mate. Appreciate it.
Fantastic, mate. Well, have a lovely evening, mate, and best of luck with your career moving forward. And thank you very much again. Have a lovely one. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for listening.